Well, I'm back with my little man. He's not feeling too well today, so I'm just going to film with him in his hammock. I was trying to do some filming on Friday afternoon, and I realised that his breathing was very rapid and he was doing some little judders and also having the hiccups again, so I was quite concerned. So we went back to see the vet. Unfortunately, we couldn't see our usual vet, but the lady did find that there was some irregularities to his heartbeat. Now, she put it down to the stress of being at the vet, and also there were lots of dogs barking in the waiting room, which may have stressed him out. But I do really think that maybe it was just his heart because of the way he was acting at home. But she also picked up that he had some crackles in his lungs, so he's on antibiotics. And we're going to go back in the week and see our regular vet and see how she thinks he is. He has lost weight. He's lost about 36 grams since our last visit, which I think was about 6 weeks ago without checking the dates. So he's been doing really, really well, but I am a little bit concerned. His weight loss has been quite gradual, but just the way he has been over the last couple of days, I sort of think he's gone into a decline, which is not too good. But we'll just have to see. He may perk up with the antibiotics. He's only on the second day of antibiotics, so there's still time for him to improve, and we just hope that he will. So, yeah, look, you right, Robbie? He's not right, so I am going to be keeping a very close eye on him, and obviously if we're worried we will go back sooner and we will have to see another emergency vet, but I'm hoping that he'll be okay till the middle of the week and give the antibiotics a chance to work and see our usual vet, because she's seen him a couple of times and she'll have a better indication of how he is compared to last time. So I think a question that comes up quite often, "You're right, Robbie, did something startle you?" Poor little man. What do you do when you're down to a lone rat? And I've already explained with my circumstances, and because Rob is not well, that we're not getting him a companion. I think you've got to look very carefully about balancing the needs of your rat with what you can actually do as well. So if you have an old rat who's not well, he or she may not take to a younger rat. They may not even take to an older rat. So I think it's very important to look at the personality of your rat. Now, if you've had a rat that's been aggressive to other rats, I would be very cautious about getting a companion for an old rat who's been aggressive. I've heard some terrible stories, some recently, and you have to do your introductions very slowly, very carefully. Oh, look, is he trying to get into bed now? Oh, look, you're going to leave me, Robbie. There he goes, into his bed. Oh, little man. There he goes. Oh, Rob, he's really not happy man today. Anyway, you need to be very careful with rat introductions, and you will need a spare cage in case, during the early stages you're going to have to keep the rats separate. And I think it's a very difficult situation. If you're not going to have any more rats, then don't get a rat for your old rat. You just need to spend a lot of time with them. But if your rat is young, they're going to need friends. It's very important. But whatever age they are, you need to be very careful with the rat introductions. You need the spare cage for the new rats to live in. If things don't work out, you could end up with 2 groups of rats. And I think the best thing to do is to go to somewhere, a rat rescue centre, where they're experienced with rats. They can help you with introductions, especially if you're a new rat owner, and where they will take the rat back if it doesn't work, so you're not left in a situation. Look at his little tail wiggling. Oh, Robbie, are you okay, darling? So there's lots of things, and just never ever leave the rats alone. And I think if you've got an aggressive rat, sometimes it is better just to keep them on their own if they've only got a few weeks left. It's just really important that you have got the time to devote to the rats. I wouldn't advise rehoming an old lone rat because it's very stressful to them. Extremely stressful to put an old lone rat into a new home. I would, it's such a difficult situation, but I personally wouldn't rehome any rats, especially an old one, because I feel that they've got used to you. You can shorten their life through stress by rehoming an old rat. And if they're younger rats and you really can't get any more rats, then yes, the best thing you can do for those rats is to rehome them. But always rehome through a rescue group, just make sure the home is checked out, that it's a suitable home, and be very, very careful. Never ever rehome your rats for free. Ever, never. It's just asking for trouble to rehome a rat for free. If someone can't afford a rat, the small price that is charged for a rat, they can't afford to keep a rat, they can't afford to care for it, they can't afford vet bills or anything else. So never give your rats away for free. It's different if it's your best friend that you know and you see regularly and you're keeping in contact with the rat, but to people you don't know, you need to check them out very, very carefully. So I think, you've got to look at all the circumstances. And the other thing I think is really important is don't rush into anything. You're going to be quite emotional. Your rat needs a few days to settle down. Sometimes a rat like Rob will settle down quite happily without friends. If they're younger, they are going to need friends fairly quickly. But I say think about what you want to do. Don't rush into something in the first few days when you've lost your rat. See how your lone rat is doing and see what you really want to do. Just have a really good think about everything. But don't always think that rat introductions are going to be easy. You might hear stories how older female rats will take to young rats easily. Doesn't always happen. I've heard some tragic stories, and sometimes an older female rat, especially if she's been a bit grumpy and she's not well herself, cannot be bothered with young rats jumping all over her. So there's lots of stories you'll hear. Male introductions can be very difficult. Sometimes they can be easy. It all depends on the personality of the rat. The important thing is to remember to never rush things, to take things slowly and always watch them. When you're not there, separate the rats until you're absolutely certain they're fine. Problems can occur days later. Or with younger rats, when you're introducing them to older rats, especially with male rats, when those rats get to the teenage years, they're going to start challenging your older rat. Then there could be trouble, because they want to be, one of the young ones wants to be the alpha male. So there were lots and lots of things to think about. So I would just advise, don't rush into anything, think very carefully, and you have to do, really at the end of the day, you've got to do what's best for your rat and not what you want. It should never be about what you want. It should always be what's best for your rat. So I think that's probably what I can say, all I can say at the moment. But I personally would never rehome an older rat. I've taken in many older rats, and sometimes they do take a while to settle. It's very upsetting for a rat that's got a very close bond, that's lived all their life with somebody, to suddenly go to a new home, especially if they're on their own. It's very traumatic for them, and the stress can actually shorten their lives. So I think you really just think carefully, go through all the options, get the advice of someone who does rat rescue. A centre near you is ideal, where you can talk to someone and they can help you with introductions. But whatever you do, never ever bring new rats in, put them all in together and hope it works out. You are asking for trouble in most cases. So you must be very, very careful, and good luck with whatever you decide to do.